Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bert Lundquist, and welcome to Tucson, Arizona. Evansville comes into the NCAA championship for the second time since they became a Division I school in 1977. Seton Hall is also here for the second time, second year in succession, as a matter of fact, under head coach P.J. Carlesimo. They are heavily favored this afternoon. I'm working with Tommy Heinsohn, and Tommy, the Pirates are heavily favored, seated number 3 as they are, but they have a question mark: the health of their outstanding center, Ramon Ramos.
Well, Ramon Ramos is very key to what Seton Hall hopes to do. He is their power guy on the inside. And here's what happened to him. And last night, on the other night's ball game, going to the basket playing defense, went up strong, came down, and ended up hitting the floor hard. And it's been diagnosed as a grade 1 concussion. I can tell you from personal experience, he's going to have a difficult job really getting it together for today's ball game if that was the injury.
Seton Hall takes on an Evansville team that surprised Ralph Miller's Oregon State bunch in overtime to get to this round, and they did so with outstanding perimeter shooting.
Well, they've got some spunky small people, typified by this fella, Reed Crafton, who, coming down the stretch, then unleashed that bomb to really solidify the win. But they are very, very good ball passing with the ball and moving without the ball. So they're going to have to really do a job containing the big guys at Seton Hall, however.
The first thing you notice about them is their outside shooting, but is that what catches P.J. Carlesimo's eye? No.
Everyone talks about Evansville's three-point shooters and the fact that they're a great offensive team, but I think, to me, when you look at their stat sheet, you see 41% field goal percentage defense. They're literally one of the best defensive teams in the country, and I think that's the key to their success.
These two teams are fighting for a spot in Denver next Thursday night. The home team here has already gotten there, but they had to go to Boise to get it. Expected before we finish this first game, and our second game, of course, will be Indiana and UTEP. Evansville comes in 25-5, a winner over Oregon State. Seton Hall, the number 3 seed, 27-6, and they defeated Southwest Missouri in the first game. Now let's go to our public address announcer, Dana Cooper.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to McHale Center in Tucson for this afternoon's West Region second round game between the Evansville Purple Aces and the Seton Hall Pirates. And now let's meet the starting lineups. For Evansville, at forward, a 6'4" senior from Noblesville, Indiana, number 3, Scott Hafner. For Seton Hall, at forward, a 6'7" junior from Melbourne, Australia, number 10, Andrew Gage. For Evansville, at forward, a 6'7" junior from Baltimore, Maryland, number 42, Brian Hill. For Seton Hall, at forward, a 6'8" senior from New York, New York, number 24, Darrell Walker. For Evansville, at center, a 6'9" junior from Stillman Valley, Illinois, number 53, Dan Gottfried. And for Seton Hall, at center, a 6'8" senior from Canavanas, Puerto Rico, number 25, Ramon Ramos. For Evansville, at guard, a 6'1" freshman from Stone Ford, Illinois, number 20, Scott Schreffler. For Seton Hall, at guard, a 6'3" senior from Bronx, New York, number 23, John Morton. From Evansville, at guard, a 5'10" junior from Indianapolis, Indiana, number 4, Reed Crafton. And from Seton Hall, at guard, a 6'1" senior from Brooklyn, New York, number 15, Gerald Green. And the head coaches in his 4th season at Evansville, Jim Cruz. And in his 8th season as head coach of the Pirates at Seton Hall, P.J. Carlesimo.
Carlesimo, Seton Hall Pirates, the number 3 seed, back with the tip in a moment.
Beating the Honda Prelude could...
5 feet out, defeated Oregon State in the first round. That was their first NCAA Division I win. Seton Hall, 27 wins, second most. You have to go back to 1952-53 when they had the legendary Walter Dukes and won the NIT, when Seton Hall has had this kind of a year. Our officials are John Morrow from Richmond, Virginia, Mark DiSteola from Syracuse, New York, and Tom O'Neill from Tinley Park Illinois. Crafton has it, number 4 in the purple for the Evansville Aces, guarded by Gerald Green. Schreffler, the freshman. This is Godfrey, number 53, off the glass and in.
Right away, Evansville goes to their inside game, hoping that Ramos will end up in foul trouble. They're going to be trying to work on him. That's unusual.
John Morton, who had 26 points in the first round game. Underneath to Darrell Walker, three-pointer. Too strong. Rebound, Ramos throws it right to Schreffler, the freshman. Number 20. In the corner, Reed Crafton. There's Godfrey again as they work over Ramos, and the shot is good.
Right away, they're working that matchup, saying Ramos is going to have to play some defense, hoping to get him in foul trouble early. Now, let's see if Seton Hall comes back and tries to establish their inside game.
Jim Cruz hollers that there was a travel from Ramos, but not called.
Evansville defense prepared to go down there and double team quickly to help out.
Final, Georgetown defeats Notre Dame 81-74. Notre Dame not shooting well in the second half. And Georgetown advances to the round of 16 in East Rutherford, New Jersey next weekend.
Everybody who's ever played in these tournaments hopes to get out in front early and put the pressure on the other team to hang on coming down the stretch.
And when you're the 11th seed like Evansville is, Tommy, I would think doubly significant.
Absolutely. Now, they have an excellent perimeter game. Schreffler, Crafton, and Hafner will really pull out the defense of Seton Hall, and then you start going to the inside game with Brian Hill and Godfrey.
That foul on Andrew Gaze, first team foul, first personal. Here's Scott Hafner, scoring leader of the Aces. Shot no good, Ramos with the rebound. 4-0 early on. Evansville leads it. Green, high bounce off the glass in.
Seton Hall will run when it's available, and I think Green is the key to that. Good decisions as a middleman on the fast break. That time, an excellent one.
This is an Evansville team that comes in with a 25-5 season record. Gottfried, 2 more. He's shooting 63% for the season, so not a surprise that he's got the hot hand early.
I'm sure PJ was hoping that he would be able to handle the inside people of Evansville one-on-one.
Walker answers at the other end. It's 6-4 Evansville. And Schreffler brings it across the timeline. 3-guard offense. Underneath it goes, and they continue to put it inside. That's Brian Hill. He's fouled in the act of shooting and will shoot 2.
When you pull the defense out the way the 3 small people of Evansville does, it allows Gottfried and Hill to work inside. And you're going to see in a moment that on double teams, it's going to come from the forward. Walker is going to come help out on Gottfried, on vice versa. So Gottfried will be looking to pass off. And plenty of room to get those passes off to boot. Here you're going to see as Walker made the double team, there's Hill all alone underneath as the long drop from the guard position by the Seton Hall defender, way too late.
Hill gets them both. This is an excellent Evansville free throw shooting team, 75%. Both these teams are very good at the line, as a matter of fact. 8-4 now. Brian Hill gets 2. Back it goes. Ramos too strong. Walker bobbles the ball. Scramble for it. Hell ball. Possession arrow. Seton Hall.
You know, in Evansville's defense, I call it silly putty. It bends, but it doesn't break. They can get beaten with speed, but the big people of Evansville will go down and cover.
And an early substitution for P.J. Carlesimo as Avent comes in for Ramon Ramos. Anthony Avent, the sophomore out of Newark, so Ramos may be bothered by that grade 1 concussion. Foul underneath. Brian Hill picks up the foul. Ramon Ramos fell hard twice in that first round game.
Well, I alluded to the fact that from my own personal experience that a concussion of that nature, boy, it really leaves your knees weak the next ball game. In fact, when it happened to me, I wasn't right for a week later. So we may not be seeing Ramon an awful lot this afternoon.
This is Avent who'll shoot 2. As a matter of fact, Ramos didn't sleep well at all Friday night after the game. They were planning to hold him out of practice yesterday. P.J. Carlesimo told us he would not practice. Turns out he did want to work. So he did a little bit, and they start him, but a bit of a shaky start defensively.
I tell you, your knees start shaking when you have that type of situation. But Avent is an excellent basketball player, very good in the low post, has some moves, and may not have all the experience of Ramon, but he's got the athletic ability to go up over the top of a lot of these Evansville players.
Avent, a 6'9" sophomore out of Newark, New Jersey. 61% free throw shooter. He can cut the lead to 2 if he gets this one. 8-6, 17:21 to go first half. That ball tipped out of bounds by John Morton.
Seton Hall saying, now we're going to try and press and get aggressive and maybe end up with some fast break opportunities. But Evansville is very, very good at bringing the ball up the court against the press.
Here's the freshman Schreffler into Reed Crafton, a transfer out of Florida. Nice move by Brian Hill. Great drop step.
Those big guys of Seton Hall better be able to play one-on-one defense down in that low post.
Brian Hill out of Baltimore Dunbar, where he played for Bob Wade. Here's Morton for 3. Gets the nice soft roll.
He's the key to their game. When he's running hot, they can blow you out.
At the other end, Schreffler, no good. And Darrell Walker comes down with it for Seton Hall. 10-9, 16:40 to go first half. Gerald Green for 3. And Godfrey gets it. Now Crafton for Evansville. And a foul that'll send Brian Hill to the line again. I think you think this young man might be the key to Evansville's chances.
He's the guy that really is kind of an undersized guy playing at the power forward spot. But he played a heck of a ball game the other night. Ended up with 21 points, an awful lot of rebounds before getting in foul trouble.
Franz Volsey comes in now as a second substitution for Seton Hall, and Darrell Walker will get a rest.
Seton Hall is very deep at the big men spot.
Well, they're much deeper overall than Evansville. Evansville will play about 8 men. Here's Hafner from way out. John Morton kicks it left side. Andrew Gaze with a 3-pointer. Long rebound gotten back by Gaze, puts it up, and the Australian has 2.
He's the unknown factor here. He's going to be tested defensively against Hafner and Scheffler.
That's the first Seton Hall lead. It comes with 16 minutes to go first half. Crafton, that's off the mark. Rebound, Brian Hill. Good defensive job by Volsey, alters the shot. Green kicks it underneath. Volsey can't hang on, gets it along the baseline. They dive for the loose ball. Seton Hall has it. McHale Center, West Region's second round encounter. Second meeting ever between Evansville and Seton Hall. First one took place back in the early 70s. P.J. Carlesimo's team leads by 11-10 over Jim Crew's Evansville Aces. Andrew Gaze, 3-pointer.
Offensively, he's the equal of Hafner, only he's a little bit bigger, hits the threes, and can also rebound. He's going to be tested defensively because he's going to be playing a much smaller man in Prepler here.
That's an 8-0 run now by Seton Hall to take a 4-point lead. That 3-pointer from Crafton.
Now that they have the Seton Hall defense retreating to protect inside, they're going to start bombing from outside. They play accordion offense.
Look at Crafton playing off Green, getting him the shot. Schreffler. Hill ball, possession arrow, Evansville. Nice defensive job by the freshman Schreffler. Time has been called on the field.
Is out, the ball will go on the inside. To the left of your screen, you see everybody really uptight on their own man. They have an opportunity to get the ball inside. One-on-one inside by Evansville, and they will really pick you apart when the ball is outside.
That's blocked by Andrew Gaze, and now Schreffler comes back and knocks it out of bounds with the Seton Hall ball. Scott Schreffler, the 6'1 freshman from Stoneport, Illinois. Now Volsey and Green with Gaze, Avent, and Morton on the floor for the Pirates at Seton Hall.
And look how they drop off of Green, daring him to shoot, knowing that they want... Seton Hall wants to take advantage of the inside game.
Crafton was playing way back. Now here's Schreffler. Schreffler, Hafner, Crafton, the 3-point shooters. Godfrey and Hill, the 2 inside men. And Scott Hafner averaging 24.6 points per game. Here's Godfrey, the leader in the game with 6 so far. Gaze on Scheffler. Shot clock down to 20. Crafton comes back, bothered by John Morton. Kicks it out to Hafner, and he's 0 for 3. Bad start for the leading scorer for Evansville.
He can heat up at any time.
Anthony Avent. Nice block by Godfrey.
That was by Hill, and that's the type of thing that he'll have to do to help out Godfrey.
14-13 to score.
Lots of movement. They make you work.
There's Gottfried working on Bolson.
One-on-one. No help.
Nice tip by Brian Hill.
There he is. There's a different type of guy. He's going to get an opportunity to go one-on-one against his power forward on the boards.
Brian Hill with a quick start. Jim Cruz said his problem is inconsistency. He has a tendency to lay off at halftime, thinking he's accomplished what he set out to do. Here's Morton. And Hill, who has 4 rebounds, just misses on that one.
And guess who's in there picking the ball off the floor? The little guy.
Reed Crafton at 5'10", 155. As Godfrey gets position underneath, Avent with a foul. Michigan leading South Alabama 22-16 in the first half as Steve Fisher coaches his second game. Most of you saw the Georgetown win over Notre Dame by 7. Charles Smith with 34 points, the All-American senior. Ramon Ramos is coming back into the lineup now, replacing Volsey. And Gottfried will go to the free throw line, where he is a 72% free throw shooter.
Gottfried is kind of a plotting type of center, but when you're able to play one-on-one and not have to worry about anybody coming down to bother your shot from on top, makes it an awful lot easier. Here's Hill's tip in. You're going to see everybody on the outside, and Hill just with the quick feet, getting great position. That's leaping against an even bigger man from Seton Hall.
Substitution for Evansville. Olaf Blob, who's better known and older brother Uwe, is now a member of the Dallas Mavericks and who played for Indiana, is into the lineup. Olaf Blob started his collegiate career at Illinois and transferred to Evansville under Jim Cruz. And again, they double down on Bolsey. Look at Crafton giving him a shot, and they don't get it.
They're going to have to hit an awful lot of threes to pull Evansville out of that defense right now.
After gets his first. He can light it up. He had 65 in the game back in February. And it's a 9-0 Evansville run now. The lead is 5. And again, Crafton back helping on Bolsey. Nice pass underneath, and the shot goes.
That was an extremely intelligent play by Gaze, who read the double team and spotted the open man on the weak side of the court.
That ends a 9-0 run. Hafner has it misfire off his foot. Gaze protects it, kicks it out to Morton. Underneath Andrew Gaze. Nice play.
A really smart play by Morton to rivet one defender and then wait till Gaze uncovered and got into good position.
19-18 with 11:45 to go first half. Evansville, the champions of the Midwestern Collegiate Conference. They won the regular season, lost to Xavier in the tournament championship, but Scott Scheffler gives them another lead, 22-18.
Scheffler has such a quick release on his shot. That's why Gaze is being asked to defend him, hoping to be able to get at him quickly.
Another substitution now as Brian Hill, who has played well in the first 9 minutes. He is replaced by Chris Bomba, a senior from Bloomington, Indiana. Bolsey, loose ball picked up by Blob.
All the big guys are blocking their men out and waiting for the little guys to come in and pick the ball off the floor. That is what they write about in textbooks about rebounding.
Hafner. Right over Tommy Heinsohn's head. Evansville ball. Gerald Green says no, but Hafner will inbound.
I almost hooked it from here.
I knew you were going to have to because I've never been able to get a basketball away from you. Very few did.
That's right. No pass. Just shoot.
22-18, under 11 minutes. Evansville, 5 times they won the equivalent of the Division II championship back in the 60s and 70s. Hafner short. Went Division I in 1977, were in the tournament in 82, but lost in the first round to Marquette.
Now they've backed way off green, so there's no chance of getting it inside. Great pass to Gaze, and then Gaze heads up knowing the defense rotating to him, just knocked it back inside.
22-20. Scott Schreppler, guarded by John Morton, throws it away. Tipped.
They're going to see on top, it's going to Gaze, the rotation of defense, and Avent scores easily. The heads-up play by Gaze.
Substitutions now. Darrell Walker comes back in. So does Pookie Wigington and Michael Cooper. So 3 substitutions for P.J. Carlesimo.
It's not easy to play man-to-man defense for an entire 40 minutes.
Schreppler misses from outside.
That's why Pookie is in there, and the 2 big guys of Evansville. Same reason.
Wigington tries a rare 3-point shot. That's the first one he's made this year. He doesn't shoot it from the outside.
They're backing off the point guard because they think that he's the guy that's going to make the inside pass. He's going to have all kinds of open shots.
Wigington now 1 for 2 from 3-point range for the season. 9:35 to go first half. Hafner again, that's the 3.
Comes off the pitch firing, no matter if it's beyond the 3-point range or within the 3-point range. You've got to switch or get through those picks a little quicker.
Wigington thinks about it. Crafton comes flying out. In their win over Oregon State, Evansville was 12 of 24 from 3-point land. They're 4 of 7 today. Foul on Reed Crafton.
Well, they're just fronting and backing the low post, and you've got to take whoever man that is and use him as a shooter. Pookie Wigington is the guy right now who they're backing off.
Godfrey comes back in for that man's team. Jim Cruz, time has been called.
We had a little party down in Berkeley. There was Harry, there was Mary, there was Grace. Oh, we had a little party down in Berkeley.
How have the seeds done in the '89 championship? Well, as expected, the 1 and 2 seeds have won all of their games, but the important factor here, look at number 11. The 11th seeds, and there are 4 of them, are 5-0 thus far. Minnesota, an 11th seed, has advanced to the round of 16. Evansville would like to do the same. Next on CBS, UTEP, Indiana, UCLA, North Carolina, or Colorado State, Syracuse, as we continue our coverage of the NCAA championship. 9:07 to go first half.
Now, there's no hope of feeding the low post game if there are 2 men surrounding him. There's the man with the ball right now that has to shoot. They're backing off him. The point guard has got to hit some shots.
And on the rebound, Michael Cooper over the top. So they're just going to stay back until, right?
You watch Reed Crafton on all these plays up the other end of the court. He'll be back down in front of the low post man.
Michael Cooper's first personal foul, 15th foul, and now Evansville in foul.
You look at Evansville and say, well, we can press them. But one of the things that makes this team so good is they all can pass and all can dribble except their big guy. And you can't really defeat a team that can pass. They can go through any defense.
Hafner to Crafton. There's Hafner from the corner. Short. Rebound, Chris Bamba. Crafton hits it. Roughly the same spot from which he stabbed Oregon State in overtime on Friday.
And look at him back out in front of Walker.
Just giving the shot to Wigington, and that rebound is put up and in by Michael Cooper.
Absolutely. If you're going to not take the outside shot, penetrate and draw another defender and dish off, so maybe you can take it to the hoop, which is what he did.
As we said, this is an Evansville team that had to get an at-large berth in the tournament. They won the regular season in the conference, but lost to Xavier in the tournament championship, the conference tournament. But did get in with a 24-5 record. Now Wigington. Walker.
Well, Pookie's giving him some penetration, and that can normally hurt this defense. The one thing you can do against Evansville is beat them off the dribble.
Hafner now 2 of 7 from the field. Reed Crafton at 5'10", 155. Skip pass. Cooper runs into Darrell Walker. Over and back. South Alabama has come from behind and now leads Michigan by 2. Peanut butter and jelly in action early. North Carolina State leading Iowa 6-4. That ought to be a tussle down to the wire. And Texas and Missouri notched up at 10-10. Now it's 14-10. Missouri has scored. Andrew Gaze is getting a rest. And Brian Hill comes back in for Evansville, replacing Chris Bamba. So we'll set the lineup for you now. For Seton Hall, Ramon Ramos is back in the lineup along with John Morton, Pookie Wigginton, Michael Cooper, and Darrell Walker. Shot short. Morton is fouled. And there's Brian Hill, who just came back in. We've got Gottfried, Hill, Chris Mack, Crafton, and Brian Hill in right now.
Here's the Pookie's penetration. Draws the big guys. They build a house around him and finds Walker underneath. Now, that's what he does really well. Green, the guy, their point guard that's sitting on the bench, is a much better outside shooter than Pookie. And that's what they may need. But this guy at the line right now has been their outstanding scorer all season long.
Morton was a third-team All-Big East selection. Sometimes they're very inconsistent. He can be erratic, though.
I mean, he has developed his outside shot this year, and he kind of takes the game over at times when perhaps he shouldn't.
Walker, nice hustle. And Seton Hall back on top, 29-28.
Good switch that time by Seton Hall.
This is Cooper on Crafton. And a battle away from the ball. Foul is on Gottfried of Evansville. That's the 4th team foul. Gottfried's first personal. 29-28 Seton Hall. Largest lead of the first half has been 5. That by Evansville. Morton, no basket. And Jim Cruz doesn't like that call. It's Gottfried again. That's his second.
Well, he can beat Evansville off the dribble because they are not really quick with their feet. And that puts a lot of pressure on the Evansville big guys to cover up penetration. And Gottfried has really ended up picking up an awful lot of fouls because of their inability to move their feet out front.
Pookie Wigginton gets it over the right side. Walker has it now. And Cooper. And again, Crafton just giving Wigginton the shot if he wants it. Walker, second fine play by Darrell Walker.
Wasn't much room for him to slither through, but he did it.
31-28. Seton Hall's lead is 3. Hafner for 2 more. Scott Hafner, All-American academic this year, first teamer. He's a graduate student at Evansville, going after his master's in business administration. 5th-year senior, or graduate. Cooper, that's good.
He penetrated, went from one side of the basket to the other. They had to respect that penetration. That left the big guy wide open. He delivered.
5:40 to go, first half. Move, foul, Brian Hill.
Here's the penetration. If you can't get the ball inside with a pass, do it with a dribble, and that makes the defense move, and that uncovers one of the Seton Hall big guys. Very nice strategy by P.J. Carlissimo that time. Send their penetrator to the basket.
Scott Schreffler coming back in. And Chris Mack will head to the bench, number 34, freshman for freshman. And Ramos is back into the lineup as Brian Hill gets ready to shoot a couple.
Jim Cruz is trying to make sure that his good big guys have enough left for the tail end of the second half.
Minnesota, an 11th seed, has advanced to the round of 16. Duke has also gotten there. Those two will meet in the next round. And another substitution coming in now. Chris Bamba, number 40, back into the lineup. Minnesota and Duke going up to East Rutherford in a game that will be seen on CBS on Friday night as we continue our coverage of the '88 NCAA Championship. 5:20 to go first half. Pookie Wigginton.
Well, just back way down and say, I dare you.
Short with the shot, got for the rebound.
Has all the time he wants to get a shot off. They're not going to attack him. I think Green could be doing the same thing and is much better outside shooter than Pookie is.
Grafton sets the pick for Schreffler. Schreffler with Morton on him. Now Hafner. And Anthony Avant came over first. Franz Volsey who came over the top. That's the 17th foul, so Evansville goes into the bonus. Second foul on Volsey.
This guy has an excellent touch facing the basket and has learned to use his body in that low post when he plays with his back to the basket. So he's become a legitimate threat in their conference, and he's showing quite nicely in this tournament that, hey, he's a lot better than people thought he was.
Unusual, he's hitting almost as high from the field as he is from the free throw line. And we saw him miss that one. Wigginton. And again, Crafton doubling down on Michael Cooper, who's roaming the post. Ramos from way outside. And look at Reed Crafton fight, but he can't get the rebound away from Ramon Ramos.
Pookie took Crafton out of the play, and the ball just slipped right into Ramos's hands.
.420 to go first half. And this time Morton. There is Kim Cruz, Jim Cruz's wife. The Cruz family has been in Evansville for 4 years. Jim, of course, 4-year letterman at Indiana under Bobby Knight, and was there as an assistant for 8 years. And now Steve Schreffler will be at the line.
You know, speaking of Jim Cruz, a couple of reporters asked his players to give them a one-word description of Jim Cruz, and one of them said, normal. And the other one said, competitor. That pretty well sums it up, I guess. But I've never heard anybody, and a coach described as normal.
Including yourself. Time is out.
You hear the thunder, thunder.
You can see it in the way it looks. You can feel it in the way it drives. This is America's premier sports coupe, Grand Prix.
Get on your Pontiac and ride.
And now is a great time to check out Grand Prix.
The low post, one here, two there. The normal defense should be out here to defend this man. They're saying right now that, hey, that point guard has got to beat us from the outside. We're going to work to protect inside. Finally takes the shot and misses it, but well within a normal point guard's range. And now Green is back in the game to see if maybe he can hit that outside
and
shot.
Again, Crafton backs off of him. Cooper does hit it from 16 feet.
Green is the key guy to draw, and that point guard to draw Reed Crafton out of that defense.
Seton Hall leading by 3, 37-34. Offensive foul, Chris Bamba. NC State rolls up a 13-point lead. Michigan and South Alabama back and forth in the first half. And Tom Pinder's Texas team, another 11th seed, trying to get into the round of 16. You saw that Georgetown defeated Notre Dame in the first game. That'll be a foul on Hafner, who knocked John Morton backwards.
Now, Morton has really yet to get his game percolating as they've tried to slide the ball inside and find various ways to get those big people of Seton Hall into action. I think the key guy is Green. He's got to get out there and show that he can hit the open shot. I think Evansville very much respects Morton's three-point range.
Morton gets the first of two. We're at the McHale Center on the campus of Arizona. West Region's second round encounter between third-seeded Seton Hall and 11th-seeded Evansville. 38-34 with 3:49 to go. A couple of runs, one of 8-0 by Seton Hall, one of 9-0 by Evansville, and the game is seesawed back and forth, Tom.
Well, Evansville has been able to really see when to exploit the outside game and when to go to the inside game. Seton Hall has had all kinds of problems getting their big guys into action.
Schreffler, that's for 3. He's now 2 of 5. And the freshman hits a big three-pointer to narrow the margin to 39-37.
You just must stay with their 3 small people on the perimeter because they're quick shooters.
Andrew Gaze answers with a 3.
And Schreffler had no chance to really get at Gaze because they're a little bit smaller.
41-37. There's Schreffler. Morton kick it back out to Godfrey. Right there.
That penetration, and he just pops out. So they've got good shooting people on penetration, and that's what they try and do. Tease you with penetration and dish out to the three-point line.
Excellent shooting from the outside. 6 of 10. Here's Gaze and 4 of 8. And Gaze will try another one. Schreffler comes down with it. Scott Schreffler from Evansville. And Hafner, the senior, says slow it down.
Here's the guy I like. Is that Reed Crafton? Is he a cocky kid or what?
Back to Crafton. He'll take it. No, he won't take it. And it's taken away by John Morton. And Hafner draws the foul. No, Bamba. Chris Bamba, number 40.
He's in there for defensive purposes and for banging purposes to go along with Godfrey to help protect him underneath on the rebounds.
Anthony Aben comes back in for Ramon Ramos. They'll try and rest Ramos periodically because of that grade 1 concussion he had.
That is something else. You think you're okay, but you really are not.
And Morton back to the line. 2:25 to go, first half. Ryan Hill comes back into the lineup for Jim Kerr's bunch, and Chris Bamba goes to the bench.
Well, Hill will put a little more speed back into the lineup, a little more board banging. And Evansville's got to get that three-point game going, and they're perfectly capable of doing it. Got to set some good picks, get Hafner and Schreffler in it.
Godfrey. They kick it back out to Crafton, and he goes left to Schreffler.
Boy, look at how far out they are contesting.
Now, P.J. Carlesimo has really extended that defense now, hasn't he?
One of the things you want to do is get them to start their offense so far out that the outside shot is 30 feet instead of 19. Look at how far out. He's pushed them almost to half court. That was kind of a foolish play there, in essence, to try and contain him and get a charge call. No need for that.
That will send Scott Hafner, the senior from Noblesville, Indiana, to the line. Bolsey comes back in. Hafner, a 90% free throw shooter. Blob comes back in now for Godfrey for Evansville. Hafner, 65 points in February against Dayton. He had 23 of 29 that night, including 11 of 13 from three-point range. Don't forget, coming up at the halftime, the road to the Final Four continues. We go back to New York. Jim Nance and James Brown. Scores and highlights from the 4 sites where games continue this afternoon. Be in Providence, Dallas, Atlanta, and here in Tucson. As we continue on our coverage of the NCAA Championship on CBS. Under 2 minutes now. John Morton. Foul by Scott Schreffler.
Now that's the perfect position for Morton to go. In the right side, the way Evansville plays the defense, they show him to the baseline, and Morton can pull up and get his shooting hand freed up almost every time. And he's that type of player, very good, putting it on the floor and quick pulling up, hitting the 15, 18-foot shot.
Brian Hill doing a little foot repair work. Played for Bob Wade, the Maryland coach, at Baltimore Dunbar. One of the legendary high school programs in the country. Here's Morton. And again, problems at the free throw line. Morton is an 85% free throw shooter. Finally gets one to fall. 45-41, 1:50 to go. And again, the extended defense, Tom.
Way out. That opens it up on the inside, but Blob is not their best low post player. They tried to hit him, That's the accordion. The outside, when the defense is out, get the ball inside, and when the defense is in, get the ball on the outside.
1:34 to go in the half. Green, Avant. Foul on Schreffler away from the ball. Second personal foul. Morton back on the line where he is. Gets that one.
No, he's accused many times of trying to take over the game and really not reading the game situations. I think he's such a fierce competitor that he wants to take everything on his own shoulders when he doesn't have to.
This is the largest lead of the first half now, 6 points, 1:25 to go. And Hafner with Morton. Gerald Green guards Schreffler. Rob and Hill the inside man. .102 to go first half. Underneath, Brian Hill, nice fake, shot short. And Boltzy gets it for Seton Hall. John Morton, 2 more.
It's very tough to fast break against Evansville because they always leave 2 guys back on defense. You got to push the ball at them, and you have a superior foot advantage if you get in the paint.
Grafton, Seton Hall ball. Ramon Ramos comes back in now for Seton Hall, and Chris Mack will join the fray on the floor for Evansville. John Morton goes out. Lead is 8, 34 seconds to go. This is the largest lead in the first half.
I'd say Seton Hall has done a pretty decent job of finding out where to go and how to go, get that inside game. Now put the ball in Morton's hands. Ramos has not been what you'd say you would think he would be in a game like this, and that's because of that injury.
John Morton gets set for the final play of the first half. 10 seconds to go. Dish, Avant, great block, Brian Hill. And that'll do it for the first half of play. A fine run at the end of the half. This gives
What Seton Hall had to do also is make sure their big people had to pay off points.
3-point field goals. Evansville comes in as a hot shooting 3-point team, and Seton Hall has almost answered them. 6 made to 4 made. The leading scorers Hafner with 10 points and Gaze for Seton Hall with 10. But Hafner has been harassed defensively by a good job on the part of Seton Hall.
You've got to play man-to-man against this ball club, and they set an awful lot of picks. You see Cooper just hanging around, knowing where the ball is, fighting through the picks, staying with them, being a little physical maybe. As the second pick shows up, he did score on that play, but it's very, very difficult to defend Hafner one-on-one, and they're doing a creditable job.
Halftime with an 8-point edge for the Pirates over the Aces. CBS Sports coverage continues.
Championship is sponsored by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. MCI, let us show you how good a long-distance company can be. And by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet.
Senior Pookie Wigington came in and played quite a bit in the first half. Did manage to have a 3-point shot his first of the year, but they did play off of him.
Well, what they try to do is use his man front and back, the low post, and the way he did it to open it up was penetrate off of that a couple of times, made the back line of the defense adjust, and all of a sudden the big guys came uncovered. Very, very helpful in helping Seton Hall get the lead.
Give you a wider scope of what's going on in the NCAA Championship in the East Region in Greensboro yesterday. Minnesota outlasted Siena, and Duke got by West Virginia, so they advanced to the round of 16. In Nashville, Oklahoma, and Virginia were the winners. They advanced to the round of 16. Oklahoma looked very good yesterday, so also did Illinois and Louisville in their respective wins. The Illini and Louisville will meet in Minneapolis in the next round. Arizona, the top seed in the West, and UNLV advanced. They will meet Thursday night in Denver. And the two winners from here also advanced to Denver on Thursday and Saturday. Doubleheader action coming up both Thursday and Friday night. Prime time on CBS. And then the regional championships next weekend. Here's Seton Hall as Crafton fell down. Green gets by him, goes over Hill short. Walker with a follow. And the first 10-point lead in the ballgame.
Well, little penetration once again made the back line of the Evansville defense adjust, and Walker slipped in for the offensive rebound and putback.
It's Schreffler, Crafton, along with Gottfried, Hafner, and Hill for Evansville. There's Hafner. And the 20th rebound of the ball game comes down in the hands of Darrell Walker. Quickly down to John Morton for two. It's a 12-point edge.
Morton just took off on the shot, was 3/4 up the court by the time Seton Hall got the rebound.
Schreffler. 12-point edge for Seton Hall. They're trying to advance to the round of 16 for the first time in school history. Last year in the NCAA, the Pirates won their opening game against UTEP, but then lost to Arizona and had to go home.
Seton Hall's playing excellent defense against this double pick away from the ball offense right now. They have switched out, and really the three small guys have not been able to find room to get that outside shot off.
Shot clock down to 5. And a great job by Green, taken away by Andrew Gaze. And here's Darrell Walker.
The last trip up the court was the best defense of the game by Seton Hall.
That's Lute Olson. They will play UNLV in Denver. That's his lovely wife, Bobby, in red, right in front of him. Top seed in the West. They got home last night, and he just walked in. And this crowd of 13,000 recognized him, gave him a big hand.
Seton Hall's defense, if they get picked off, they're talking, they're switching, and it's much more difficult for Evansville to get that wide-open outside game going.
The run now by the Pirates of Seton Hall has reached 13 in a row. The last 5 of the first half, the first 8 of half number 2. And the lead is 16. Gottfried. And Gottfried didn't go after the loose ball. Brian Hill tries to get it. And it's out of bounds off Ramon Ramos. McHale Center, West Region's second-round game in Tucson on the campus of Arizona. Seton Hall with 13 unanswered points, and the third-seeded Pirates lead Evansville by 16. It's been the inside game and an extended perimeter defense that has really told the story for Seton Hall. Schreffler for 3.
They have not had an uncontested shot from behind the three-point line. That's great stuff for Seton Hall's defense.
The run is 15, and the lead is 18.
The other thing they've done the last 2 trips up the court, Vern, is get some easy hoops on fast breaks. Something very difficult to do against Evansville.
Jim Cruz, 35-year-old head coach, NC State and Iowa tied at the half. Iowa got off to a horrible start in that game. South Alabama leads Michigan by 6, and Missouri over Texas by 10 at halftime. Already today, Georgetown struggled in the first half, but came back strong in the second half and won over Notre Dame. Crafton, no, if they're not hitting those outside shots, it's going to be a terrible afternoon. And there are 2 badly taken shots in a row. And again, Andrew Gaze with a rebound. 17 minutes to go. We welcome all of those of you who've been watching other games. 16:50 to go in our ball game, and the Pirates of Seton Hall are ripping open this ball game. It was very close, a 4-point edge late in the first half. Seton Hall led by 8 with a run at the end of the half to go up by 8, 49-41. They have now scored 15 unanswered points with outstanding inside play and an extended perimeter defense.
Well, that extended perimeter defense was really the key. You've got to stop Evansville. You've got to go out and challenge their three-point shooters, and Seton Hall has done that very, very successfully.
Seton Hall hitting 62% from three-point range. Evansville 6 of 15. And the inside scoring has been dominant for Seton Hall. Walker picked up that last foul. That was his third. This is Darrell Walker, number 24. 59-41.
Seton Hall's a funny type basketball team. They can play any tempo. And perhaps the best part of what they've shown this year is that they are a much better half-court defensive team.
Gaze misses on the reverse layup, but Ramos was there to grab the rebound. And the foul on Chris Bamba. It's been a nearly 4-minute drought now for Evansville. We've got 16-16 to go, and they've yet to score in the second half. 5:28 if you take into consideration the drought at the end of the first half. Very competitive game in the first half. Largest lead by Evansville was at 5. And until the end of the first half, Seton Hall had led by only as many as 4. And Ramon Ramos misses a free throw.
The type of defense that Seton Hall threw at the three small people of Evansville ultimately tires you out. And the first thing that happens for an outside shooter, if your legs are tired, is you start to front rim the shots. And I think right now, those three guys that carried Jim Cruz this far into their season are just a little bit tired.
60-41, 16-10 remaining. Reed Crafton. And that foul on Ramon Ramos. Ramos, for those of you who were not with us at the outset, suffered a grade 1 concussion in a fall here on Friday and he started the game and has rested quite a bit throughout the ball game because of that.
Playing at 1 2-minute stints and then lifted and sat down for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. Hasn't played an awful lot and really doesn't look like he's feeling well.
Crafton not falling for Reed Crafton. 60-41, 15:55 to go. Gaze. Walker over the top of Chris Bamba. And that is the 4th foul on Darrell Walker. Grant Volsing getting ready to come back in now for Seton Hall. Darrell Walker will go out with those 4 fouls.
Oh, Volsing is very good in the low post and a little bit taller and can leap and protect inside. But it's been the Seton Hall guards and the quick forward gaze that have really done the job defensively. But look at that rebound by Ramos that time.
Off to Gerald Green. The drought continues for Evansville. Nice steal by Crafton. See what kind of speed he has when running with Green. Foul from behind. Gerald Green. And Crafton will go. Let's see if he's a shooting foul or not.
Seton Hall continues to really not take that outside shot when that Crafton backs down. And Green tried to penetrate that time. That's how Evansville ended up with the ball.
Chris Mack replaces Scott Hafner. Coming up next, UTEP Indiana, UCLA North Carolina, or Colorado State Syracuse. And Reed Crafton at the line. He's a transfer from Florida. He played 2 years at Florida under Norm Sloan, but saw only 40 minutes of action. And interestingly enough, Tommy, after he transferred, had his scholarship taken away by Jim Cruz for some disciplinary reasons last summer. So he is paying his own way to pay this year at Evansville. Said he has the right to earn it back if he behaves himself throughout the year.
With that shot the other night, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he earned it back.
That's the first point of the second half for Evansville. 18-point lead, 60-42. Seton Hall has never been in the round of 16. Gottfried with the rebound.
They've spread out Evansville's defense a little bit and much more comfortable going to the hoop.
Ramos guarding Gottfried. They double him, but he gets it off the glass and in.
With the big lead now, they're sending 2 people at the low post inside game of Evansville. And it'll take some good outside shooting by the small 3 in order to get back in this ball game.
Evansville 1 of 11 from the field in this half. 14:25 to go in the ball game. Crafton takes it away.
That just isn't fair. They're forcing the pass inside. Green had the shot all the way. He should take it.
Chris Mack. Schreffler. Nice shot. That's for 2. And the lead is reduced to 14 points at 60-46. Timeout has been called. Seton Hall leads it by 14.
Evansville by 14 now with 14:02 remaining on the clock. At halftime, NC State and Iowa 41 all. South Alabama still leads Michigan by 2. Ronnie Arrow's team leading Steve Fisher's team, and Texas trailing Missouri 59-50. Right here, 60-46, 14:02 to go. Scott Hafner back in the lineup for Evansville. Set the Seton Hall lineup for you now. Green is joined by Volsey, Gaze, John Morton, and Avent. And there's Volsey with the follow.
Now there you have it. You can beat them with the dribble, and then the back line has to adjust. It was blocked, but his man went in and stuffed it in on the rebound.
On the floor for Evansville, this is Schreffler, the freshman. Gottfried underneath. Hafner, Chris Bamba, who has the ball now, and Reed Crafton. Nice left-handed shot.
Sure was. Gaze had him covered, his shooting hand, and he used a different shooting hand.
Gerald Green. Underneath the Gaze, good pass from Avent.
It sure was. Great recognition by Avent to spot the backdoor cut by Gaze.
Front court scoring now, 41-29. Seton Hall solved the dilemma posed early on by Evansville's defensive scheme. Hafner, a relatively quiet 10 points. That's him with the ball, number 3. Crafton finds Gottfried. Skip pass, Schreffler. Three-pointer.
Oh, you give him time to set his feet, it's all over.
Schreffler now with 15 points to lead all Evansville scores. Avent. There's the answer to make it 66-51 with 12:20 to go.
When Ramos leaves, he's going to be a pretty effective player.
Winner of this game will face the winner of UTEP, Indiana, next Thursday night in Denver. Arizona and UNLV have already made it that far, of course. UTEP, Indiana, our next game for Tucson, 30 minutes after the conclusion of this one. Crafton kicks it back out to Schreffler, and Morton is right there. Oh, nice speed from Schreffler, and then look at the block by Anthony Avent, and Crafton dives into the crowd. It'll be Seton Hall ball. Substitutions again for Seton Hall. Michael Cooper, number 31, and Pookie Wigginton come into the lineup. For Evansville, Bamba is out, and Brian Hill back in. There's Chris Bamba. Gottfried also sits down, and Olaf Blob comes into the lineup.
The big guy in there to give Godfrey a little rest. He's going to have to play a big part coming down the stretch.
Avent with the follow, no good. Evansville ball. Leading scorers thus far, Scott Schreffler, the outside shooter, 15 points. Darrell Walker with 16 points, but he's on the bench with 4 fouls right now. There's Hafner for 3. Got it.
Oh, you just cannot drift off those outside players of Evansville by more than 1 step.
Seton Hall in this half, 4 of 10 from three-point range. Jim Cruz, of course, as we said, in his 4th year at Evansville. In 1976, he was a senior on the national championship team at Indiana. You see Jim on the left, now 35 years old, 8 years as an assistant to Bobby Knight. And I think, Tommy, one of the highly regarded young coaches in college basketball.
And he may be setting a trend, because what he is doing, in my opinion, is recruiting skill players. I think Rick Pitino with Providence was the first one to recognize what the effect of this three-point rule could be. Now Jim Cruz has gone out and recruited guys that not only can shoot the outside shot, but can really pass the ball and dribble the ball. And it really puts a lot of pressure on good man-to-man defense. And there's a lot of those players around. Most of the other coaches are recruiting 7-footers.
After the missed free throw, Jim Cruz
working the officials a little bit, and Scott Hafner will throw it inbounds now. Here's Ramon Ramos back inbounds. Ramos, the starter for the Puerto Rican Olympic team, and P.J. Carlesimo in his 7th year at Seton Hall looking on.
2 years ago, P.J. was getting it from his own alumni and the fans of Seton Hall basketball. And they, all of a sudden, they made a tournament, and he became the salvation. And he certainly has put a program in place. I think Seton Hall has had monumental problems, mainly because of where they were playing in a small gym, where most of the other Big East schools were playing in huge arenas.
Matter of fact, they've gone to the Meadowlands now. Last year, their largest crowd in the Meadowlands for their home games there was 13,000 plus. This year, Seton Hall averaged 14,000 for its Big East games at its new home court, the Meadowlands. So they averaged more than their highest previous attendance ever a year ago. And they're trying to get into the round of 16 for the first time in school history. Schreffler, Blob can't handle it. Brian Hill off the glass. Foul on Ramos. And Brian Hill will go to the line. And really, Tom, they need to get it done this year because guys like Ramos, they've got 4 senior starters, and Gaze is not eligible for next year. So this is a senior-dominated team that, if it's going to win it all, almost has to get it done in '89.
Well, he's still got some good players at the big men's spot. He's got Avent and he's got Volsey. So we don't know what they really, he hasn't shown any other guards, but Pookie Wigington, and he's kind of a relief player.
There's the Seton Hall bench. Technical foul has been called on Jim Cruz. That is a look of disdain and perhaps disbelief. So Brian Hill gets the free throw, and now we'll go to the other end and shoot the technical. John Morton at the line. This is the first. That's the 4th free throw that Morton has missed today, and he's an 85% free throw shooter. Scott Schreffler back in the lineup. So Seton Hall gets 1 of 2 on the technical on Jim Cruz. The lead is 68-56, 10:25 to go, and Morton will inbound.
It's not inconceivable that Evansville can get back in this thing. All they have to do is to hit a couple of threes. That's the best part of their offense.
Wigington drives and dishes. Volsey.
All right, that penetration, they're having trouble feeding the low post, but that penetration is uncovering the big guys, and Winnington is making it happen.
Now an interesting matchup. Hafner and Wigington, they were teammates on an NIT All-Star team in Russia last summer. They traveled for 8 games in Russia, Finland, and Sweden. Wigington and Scott Hafner. Here's another whistle. And it's on Pookie Wigington. That's his 2nd. It was on his NIT All-Star teammate, Scott Hafner.
That's right, he stole his passport. That's how close he was.
Hafner, a 90% free throw shooter, 2 of 2 for the day.
Well, Pookie is a fun player for me to watch. He doesn't penetrate through defenses. He penetrates under the defenses.
What a ball game Michigan, South Alabama are having. And Texas falling behind Missouri. How do you like Missouri's chances?
I think they've got a pretty exceptional basketball team. Their coach, of course, not there. They've come on strong towards the end. It ought to be interesting.
There's a strip. Schreffler. Hafner blocked. Grants Volsey. Watch Wigington fake. Put it up. And an injury timeout as Scott Schreffler is being tended to. Here's the block, Tom.
Volsey very quick and very active. and probably better than Ramos under the basket blocking shots.
Schreffler took an elbow across the nose and is a little dazed. Let me tell you, watch the injury again. Guess we won't. Schreffler shaking his head. Well, he showed a touch of class in the game against OSU. He's a kid who's 19 years old, born in 1970. At the end of the game, he left the celebration and walked all the way to the end of the court to shake hands with Ralph Miller after his last game. That was Scott Schreffler who did that. There's a shot from Crafton.
And he's the type of kid that will not let this game die. He will come at you and at you and at you.
Well, as Tom said, as long as they've got that three-point effort, they've got a shot to get back in it. But Wigginton gets 2 more. He's got 7, and the lead is 14.
Well, he was well within his range that time, but that back-down defense by Crafton now starting to work against Evansville.
Hafner with 2. Largest lead of the game was 19 early in this half as Seton Hall completed a 15-0 run that lapsed over both halves. Here's Schreffler with Wigginton. Missed the shot. And that would have cut it to 10.
And Hafner and Schreffler and Crafton are having to work so hard right now on defense. It's bound to affect their outside shooting.
That's the shot clock on the left, down to 15, stolen by Hill. Here's Crafton and Hill. Crafton, long shot, canned it. That was for 3 points. 9-point deficit.
That kid is going to hustle till 15 minutes after the game.
7:25 remaining. Look at him fight for the loose ball. Evansville's got it. Hafner's basket cuts the lead to 6. Timeout.
On defense, you watch this great play by Brian Hill. What an effort to go out there, pick that off. They turned it into a 3-point play, and here you're going to see the little guy going on the floor with Schreffler, and look at that hustle. Scrambles away, presence of mind. They end up with the ball once again. It ended up in another 3.
This has been an 8-0 Evansville run in the last 90 seconds. They've got a 14-point lead. Down to 6, Andrew Gaze. Godfrey, they dish the ball to Ramos. 3-second violation.
I think that was a bad call. The ball was loose on the floor. A new count should have started.
That may be the first time this year I've seen that call.
That's right. That was a loose ball.
Chance to cut the lead down to 4 or possibly 3. Schreffler, Hafner dishes it off for Hill, who wasn't ready. Hafner has 20 points now. This is Reed Crafton. 6:35 to go in the ball game. Schreffler bounces back outside. Off the pick, Hafner dishes inside and wasn't ready.
A great switch by Ramos that time to really create a little indecision in Hafner's mind. But Godfrey didn't have his hands up to make the catch on the pass.
Seton Hall has Ramos, Morton. Godfrey with a rebound. And Evansville gets it back. The Evansville lineup, Hafner and Crafton along with Schreffler at the guards, Godfrey and Hill. And for Seton Hall, Darrell Walker playing with 4 fouls, Ramos, Gaze, Morton, and Green. So the starting 5s for both clubs. In there is Crafton hit.
I love that kid. What a cocky little guy.
The lead has been cut to 3 from 19.
double team. Crafton foul. Godfrey foul. Who is it? Evansville now at 11 of 21 from three-point range.
P.J. Colissimo tried to rotate people in that back court to try and extend his defense. Now, I think they may be a little bit tired. They're not able to stay with the Evansville outside guys.
Early in this half, Seton Hall had a 60-41 lead. It's now 3 points. John Morton after.
They're just using Green's man as the roamer all over the court to try and cut down penetration on Morton, help out on the inside.
Shot clock down to 20. Walker has it stripped. Crafton. Green behind him. Foul from behind. Intentional foul.
And the little guy made it happen. He knew exactly where Green was. He made sure that he got in his way. I'm not so sure that was a breakaway foul because Reed was the guy that created the contact situation. Yeah, they back down now. One-step drop into the inside by Reed, Crafton, and there is the move back into Green so that Green really had no chance but to touch him. But there you go.
Crafton at the line. Oh, what a bounce.
It almost hit the 45-second clock. What a bounce is right.
And now for the second that could cut the lead to 1. And they get the ball.
Seton Hall has not solved that back down off the point guard. Green's got to be shooting that outside shot and get that defender out so the big guys of Seton Hall can operate.
5:03 to go. Hafner switched by Gaze to get on him defensively. 4:55 to go. Seton Hall leads 74-73. Schreffler, no. Walker with a rebound.
When that ball gets delivered to the letters of these Evansville people, boy, they launch it for threes.
Pirates, as you saw, have not scored in the last 4 minutes. Foul on Reed Crafton. That's the 4th team foul, so still a couple to give in the last few minutes. We're at the 4:35 mark. Morton. Foul by Schreffler. John Morton will shoot.
Now, they're not letting him get to the baseline. They're forcing him back into the middle to help. They ended up fouling Seton Hall, but Morton, but good defense.
Already today in the East, Georgetown defeated Notre Dame. North Carolina State, Iowa playing right now. We'll have doubleheader action for you this Thursday and Friday night. Primetime specials of the regional semifinals beginning at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. One of these two teams will be in Denver. 5 minutes ago, it looked like Seton Hall. Now it's very much in doubt as Morton shoots the second of 2. Missed them both. He's 8 of 14. Here's Gaze for 3. There's an answer.
They ought to be working a little few picks for him. They're a very experienced player playing in the Olympics.
Lead is 4 at 4:14. Neither team has ever been to the round of 16. Second NCAA appearance for both. And Hafner is on the line. Lost his concentration. That is the 9th Evansville turnover. Iowa leads NC State by 2 in the second half. South Alabama and Michigan tied at 80. Here at 77-73, 3:50 to go in the ball game.
Work the clock down, but the best basketball opportunity is this man who's doing what he's doing right now on taking the outside shot. Crafton will have to gamble a little bit. Green has superior quickness. He can make it work.
Lead is back to 6 for Seton Hall. Jim Cruz calls timeouts for Evansville.
President Bush attacked the budget deficit tonight in a speech before
Inflation concerns swept Wall Street today as a report that...
The Dow Jones average seesawed all day, closing up. The new administration's proposed budget puts less emphasis on the military.
Change. Twists, turns, the unexpected. To achieve financial security today, you have to know how to deal with change, or have the help of someone who does. Merrill Lynch, a tradition of trust.
Imagine a game with over 70 million prizes, enough for 1 out of 3 people to win. Introducing Scrabble at McDonald's. You can win the delicious McDLT, $1 million instantly, or spell holiday and win a week-long escape to a Holiday Inn. Ooh, this is a nice one. Play Scrabble at McDonald's. In a word, you can win.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh, yeah.
Chevy S10 Blazer, the most powerful V6 engine available in its class, and the most fun available in any class.
To the heartbeat of America. Chevrolet. That's today's Chevrolet.
3:33 remaining in this West Region second count encounter from McHale Center in Tucson, Arizona. Evansville trailed by 19 early in the half. Fought back to trail by only 1 at 74-73. But Seton Hall got a big three-pointer from Andrew Gaze and a follow-up by Green, and they scored the last 5. The lead is back to 6.
Jim Cruz has said all year long that this team defies the way I understand basketball. You don't out-rebound anybody, but those three-point shots make up for a lot of inadequacies.
3:19 to go. Grafton, star of the comeback with those 2 steals and a couple of three-pointers. Walker bats it away. Hafner with a mistake.
Sure was. Great defense that time by Seton Hall. Did not do anything but switch before the man got to the point and roll post. Smart defense by Seton Hall.
There's another 2 underneath for Green. Couple of unusual mistakes for Hafner. He lost concentration time previous down, and it went out of bounds. And this time the bad pass underneath. And it's an 8-point edge for Seton Hall. From the corner, Schreffler. Oh, Godfrey. It comes down in the hands of Darrell Walker. And the Seton Hall Pirates are 8 points and 2.5 minutes away from a trip to Denver.
Here's the key man, Green. They'll have to come out and extend. That'll be good opportunities for Seton Hall right now. They don't have to work the clock down. They're going to have plenty of opportunities to beat people on the drive, on the dribble.
Shot clock down to 15. B.J. Carlesimo hollering baseline. Here's Green again with the dish and a travel.
Green has superior quickness over Crafton. And if he goes and tries to gamble and make a steal on the dribble off of Green, Green is going to spin right to the hoop.
Evansville will spend another timeout. They trail by 8 with 1:59 left.
Every night while you're sleeping, UPS is maintaining its status as the only company that delivers overnight to every address coast to coast. And we guarantee it with UPS Next Day Air. And because we're so efficient, we'll still do it for up to half what other companies charge, which is guaranteed to cause our competition some sleepless nights. UPS, we run the tightest ship in the shipping business.
With the designed-in sound of a Delco Electronics music system, now the best seat in the house is in your GM car or truck. Delco Electronics, it's who we are.
Do you know why Spuds McKenzie has so much fun at parties? Because he's always in control. Spuds knows it's cool to live by one simple rule. Know when to say when.
A reminder from Anheuser-Busch.
You've seen those Chevy versus Ford tests, right? We came up with one of our own. Half-ton 4x4s, best available tires, driven at the same identical speed right through this 18-inch deep ditch. Now, this is a real control test, so don't you try it, because you'll damage your truck. That's a Chevy with torsion bar suspension, and that's the Ford with twin traction beam suspension. And you can see why we've had a change of heart and pickups.
That's today's Chevy truck.
Evansville has one timeout remaining. Seton Hall 2. Fouls to give Evansville 1, Seton Hall none. And the possession arrow pointing the way of Evansville. The winner of this game will face the winner of our next game, Utah and Indiana, coming up next. And the two winners will advance to a Thursday night meeting in Denver in the West Regional semifinal. Of course, Arizona and UNLV have already achieved that. They are in, and Lute Olson, the Arizona coach, is here watching. Short with a three-pointer. And John Morton comes down with it for Seton Hall. Evansville spent so much to come from 19 down to get within one, and seems to have run out of steam now. Clock shows 1:35 to go. And the Pirates of Seton Hall never have advanced to the round of 16. This is only the second time they played in the NCAA tournament. Shot clock at 15. Green. Nope. Ramos with a big board. And a fresh 45.
Good thinking that time off the rebound, not to put it back. They don't need points. Work the clock down.
Elsewhere, NC State and Iowa tied at 64. South Alabama now trails Michigan by 7. Late second half, and it looks like Missouri will be bound for the round of 16 as they lead Texas by 13 points. Jim Cruz, Evansville Aces out of the Midwestern Collegiate Conference. And P.J. Carlesimo's Seton Hall Pirates representing the Big East. 1 minute to go and an 8-point edge. And it looks like it'll be Seton Hall to face the winner of UTEP, Indiana, next Thursday night in Denver on CBS. John Morton, fouled by Scott Schruffler.
Well, they have to go out there and do something at this point, but quick fouls are in order, not let them work the clock down.
That's 5 fouls on Scott Schruffler, so he leaves the court with 15 points and a nice effort.
When you consider he has quite a few more years left in this organization, he's going to be a heck of a player with that outstanding shooting range. And I'll tell you, he's very clever at taking the ball to the hoop.
19 years old. And Chris Mack, a fellow freshman, will take his spot. Well, you recognize that couple.
Well, that's PJ's mom and dad, and his dad has been very, very involved in the NIT situation for years, and probably the funniest man I've ever heard on a speaking tour.
You told me that.
Well, he got me chuckling.
Seton Hall's John Morton at the line, where he's 8 of 14 today, and make it 9 of 15. And here are the Carlesimos. Peter Carlesimo. PJ is the oldest of their 10 children. I tell you, Seton Hall's doing this right, Tom. They came out on Tuesday to Tucson, grabbed the best hotel in the area, and PJ said if they win today, they're sticking around for a couple of days. They're not going back to New Jersey. And it looks like they'll have a couple of days in Tucson before going on to Denver. 35 seconds to go. Reed Crafton launches a bomb again off the glass. After short.
This Evansville team, though, you got to take your hat off to them. They are as spunky a group. Fight you tooth and nail. Go give an inch. Almost pulled it off here. Took Seton Hall.
That's 5 fouls on Darrell Walker, who played a valiant game today with Ramon Ramos bothered by that slight concussion. Coming up next on CBS, UTEP against Indiana, UCLA, North Carolina, or Colorado State versus Syracuse.
Boy, Boyd Grant's Colorado State team has excited folks in the Rockies.
Well, Georgetown, everybody's talking about Georgetown and the tough games they've been involved in. They're the #1 seed, and you know, everybody's saying they shouldn't be having these problems, but I would say that to be the #1 seed is probably the most difficult of all the things, because everybody gets super hyped up. And a Princeton game is just a perfect type of offense to play against Georgetown. And Notre Dame, I think, had the same type of ability to make that defense work.
In the West, Seton Hall, the Pirates, extend their season record to 28-6. They advance to Denver next Thursday night, where they will take on the winner of UTEP, Indiana. That's our next game in Tucson. And already in the round of 16, Arizona, the top seed in the West, will meet UNLV, the #4 seed, next Thursday night in Denver, and you'll see that game on CBS. Now, Ramon Ramos, basketball scholar athlete of the year in the Big East. He's an accounting major and wants to become a certified public accountant upon graduation.
Now, looking at that Arizona UNLV, I'd have to say that Arizona right now has probably had the easiest of the paths down to the 16.
Rims out, Hafner up. And he saves it somehow. They're right into the arms of France Bolsey. So Evansville got from 19 down to within 1 at 74-73, but the last 11 points have gone the way of Seton Hall. And now a nice gesture by Jim Cruz. He is going to send in 4 subs and replace the regulars now, so 4 fresh faces for the Aces. Milt Donald is going to come in. Troy Jones, Larry Brand, and Jeff Morning. And the final game for Scott Hafner. Dan Gottfried has a year left, but it's all over for the Evansville Aces. And P.J. Carlesimo does the same thing and puts his subs in. Monserine, Casikas, Trevor Crowley. And Gerald Green gets the free throw. 14 seconds remaining.
Jose Rimbas.
And Green is on the line. Now he will come out. Pookie Wigginton will take his place.
What Seton Hall showed today, what they'll be taking to the next round, I think, is they have really done an outstanding job of defending a perimeter team. And no matter who they play in the next round, they're going to have to face some excellent perimeter shooters. So they did a good job today. If I were coach of either UTEP or Indiana, I'd be saying, hey, we're not so sure that Edwards or Hardaway be able to score against the Seton Hall team.
And for the first time in the school's history, the Pirates of Seton Hall have entered the round of 16 in the NCAA championship. They score the last 13 points to hold off a spirited Evansville Aces team, and they win at 87-83. They will take on the winner of the UTEP Indiana encounter. That game coming up next year from Tucson. But P.J. Carlesimo's team has advanced to the round of 16. Walker with 16 points, Gaze with 15, Morton with 17. Now, let's